guys, welcome to another episode of Around the Table GTA. It's so crazy because what I'm going to be talking about is definitely not Christmassy. It's probably going to destroy illusion for a lot of people who don't really pay attention to certain things like this. Either way, we're about to start, and I'm going to start off with Kanye because we're doing the C theories, and this is my view, and these are the base questions that I put. Is Kanye tired of being a target? Is that why he's doing all of this? Is he controlled? Is he just off the meds? Or is he just doing this to start his presidential campaign? And from what I've seen, because I actually had to stop and do this episode first, is because I found out some new information and it's pretty cool. But, anyways, if you do know Kanye West as a person, as a character that he's been, you know that there's things that he always does to get attention, and that's what he's been doing his whole career. Whether it was his beef with 50 Cent, or being blatant and saying I am God, which is really crazy. And now he went through the whole potentially Christian phase, which is really strange to me because he started with Jesus Walks. So did he just make that song for attention just like everything else? Because he's claiming, oh, I'm a Christian now. What was he believing before? Or was he just picking up a Bible and then trying to copy some stuff? Or did he hear something from a pastor and just go super into it? But we're going back into C theories. This is, I guess, it's going to be a mix of religion as well because we are dealing with Kanye, but it's also going to mysticism, spiritualism as well. Earlier, last 24 hours, I was watching this documentary, and it was pretty interesting that I heard the name Ye, right? So apparently, in the Native American uh, tribal lore, there's things called Yays, right? And they're spirits, and they're supposed to be gods slash geniuses, right? So for Kanye West to claim that he's a Christian, right? Then legally changing his name to Ye, which could also mean a god slash a genius, which he's called himself in the past. It's nuts, right? So I think this is more evidence that um he's not claiming what he's claiming, right? Not a Christian. He's still working with his handlers. He's just a little bit off the rails because it's just like most conspiracy stuff, most occult stuff. There's always a duality, right? And he is pure duality. He's showing that, oh, he's against them or whatever by calling out these big corporations, or whether calling out a group of people or calling out specific people who do things, right? Because he exposed his handler. He said wild things which were in the conspiracy realm for the longest time, like having a sacrifice for your fame. He called that out, and it's just like he's become kind of a spokesperson for the people who are completely out there, right? But he's still working for the system. Just going back to the Black Mirror episode, this is spoilers, so if you haven't watched Black Mirror, stop listening to the podcast. Go watch a Black Mirror episode where the dude's on the bike. So it's the dude from Get Out, which is crazy enough because the dude from Get Out is always in these roles where it's a Get Out situation. He's super traumatized. And in this episode of Black Mirror, he's traumatized because he loses his brother, but he gets all this wealth, so he doesn't have to do much. Long story short, because I don't want to ruin the whole episode, his theory becomes completely false, and he ends up doing what he's been doing the whole time, like as his character builds up, as exposing what's really happening, right? But at the end, that's his job, and that's what he gets paid for, and he has a simpler, more comfier life. And I think this is a parallel to Kanye. He wants the attention. He wants uh the wealth. He wants the women, right? If you watched his AJ interview, you know, he's talking about, oh, you could take all of this stuff. He's like, oh, not the supermodels. And he's talking about that like nonchalantly, kind of jokingly, but I think he's serious, right? And then he's just talking about all of these things that aren't Christ like. And he uses that term all the time. It's just like, it's so double edged. It's wild. He is being used as mass destruction, he's being used as confusion, he's being used to rile up the masses. I also think that he's also being used to make more of a stigmatization of being able to call out certain things to make those people even look more crazier, because he's stated that um, he's bipolar, but then he says he's not bipolar, then he says he's bipolar. He's using all of these hot topics just to get that information out there, and also make it look like it's wild theories as well, because a lot of the things that he's mentioned, it's shown, and there's been people in the past that have been through it. And if you look for the science, because like I guess we'll probably go through the science eventually, with a lot of occult stuff with the music industry, because I wanted to do a music industry thing, but there's so many channels. Like I said, in the other episode, the truth is a great channel for all of that. And then there's so many people who do the exact same thing. I don't want to be a carbon copy of everybody. It doesn't seem like the ideas are changing much, and I want to do more than just C theories, right? I know sometimes I say C theories, sometimes I actually use the C word. Uh, you guys know what a C theory is, conspiracy theory. But anyways, yeah. So my thoughts on Kanye, or Ye West, is that yeah, he's 100% controlled opposition. And if you guys don't know what controlled opposition is someone who's working for the other side, but it looks like they're seemingly working for the side of the good, potentially good. You don't know. It's just the other side, the enemy, the people who are in charge, control, whatever. That's who he's working for. He's getting everything that he loves out of it. Yes, he might have lost his family. Yes, people might think he's crazy, but he's lost family before. People think he's crazy before. He's still getting what he loves the most, and that is attention. That is my thoughts on the whole Mr. West situation. But also, I'm going to put a highlight on like all the crazy stuff that's been happening in the last couple of months. And then it's just like, why is Mr. West still on the news, right? He's been going on, and then like the whole Kyrie thing happened. There's still a war in Ukraine. You know, crypto millionaires are not, my bad, not crypto millionaires. Crypto billionaires are dying mysteriously. What is going on with the world where we're going to only focus on this certain stuff? You know, we're in a really crazy market crash. The price of food and everything is very expensive, but they're making us focus on all of these people who are helping destroy the market as well. Even like, I'm just gonna use Canada for example because I am Canadian. I love that commercial. But anyways, like just to use Canada for example, they are uh, legalizing medical assisted death, which is wild. Like you could do your research for that. It's gonna make you startled with what are the qualifications for that. And I just saw an article recently. Right now, as of now, there's like 100,000 people who get medically assisted death each year, but they're changing the criteria so that it'll be easier to get that if you want it done, right? And that's wild because if you know about like the immigration policy, what they're trying to do, they're trying to get 500,000 new Canadians every year, or just 500,000 new people to come into Canada, right? But they're also pushing medically assisted death, which is crazy. So it's just like, is this a push so that there'll be more space for other people? There's so many things that you could be focusing on outside of Kanye West, outside of celebrities, outside of the crypto crash, but you need to focus on what's important to you. And that's my main takeaway from this, outside of that Kanye is still a puppet, right? Just throwing more Kanye puppet stuff. It's just that even with his Donda release, that had so much ritual stuff in the performance, what he was wearing. And like I said, you do the research to find out a lot of this other stuff. I don't want to go into the basics of all of that right now. I guess I just don't feel bothered to. But there's so many different things that you could see. Another great site is Vigilant Citizen, and even like Vigilant Links. That's a great site as well. There's so many different um, avenues where you can look into this stuff. I might actually leave some links in the description if this is on any of the tubes. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Hopefully, you guys did like this episode. I threw it all together kind of randomly, only because I just keep seeing this guy's face. And then he's saying, like, oh, I'm doing this for Christ. I'm doing this for Jesus. I'm doing this for God. And it's like, no, you're not. You're doing it for your own ego. And you've been doing a lot of things for your own ego for the biggest and longest amount of time ever. And, you know, unfortunately, a lot of people want to believe, a lot of people want to be like, oh, yeah, this is great. But this is what he does. And that's the character that he is. And that's why it's so easy to control him. Like, even with his whole new movement and everything, too, and yay 2024, he's surrounding himself with like a lot of radical characters. And I'm not uh demonizing the people that he's around, but some of these people, if you're an internet person, you've seen these people and you've seen them do the same stuff, and they'll use whoever they can to get more of their platform. And now that person is Mr. West. Why? Because he's in a vulnerable position. He lost his kids, he lost his wife, he lost a majority of his wealth. He's still very wealthy, but he keeps losing things. And unfortunately, it's easier to manipulate someone who has lost a lot of things. And that's like trauma in itself repeating for him. And he was talking about stuff like MK Ultra and everything too, but he's still getting MK Ultra. He's getting MK Ultra in a non MK Ultra way. And what I mean by that, it's just that he's dealing with it on a normal end. But if you've already gone through something super harsh, trauma hurts, right? Trauma is that gateway drug that leads people to either be extreme or happy, or even sometimes trauma pushes people to be the best version of themselves, because it's something that you have to learn how to get over, or you have to learn how to live through it, or you have to learn from it somehow, right? It's just, are you strong enough to deal with it, right? And he's used so many different things as crutches to use, like, to move from that trauma. But if you look at his actions, it's very hard to believe that. Anyways, this is it for that. I don't really like demonizing people, but it's just very annoying for me to see that. And it's very interesting to see a lot of people also debate it. But like I said, this is my point of view. If you think differently, let me know. It's probably going to be one of those episodes that people are like, whatever. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this episode. Have a nice night, and I'll catch you later.